Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network. And we want to thank all of you for listening in to Charlton and Big C Sports every Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. Today is August the 23rd, 2016, Big C. And I also want to say thank you. And I also want to, before I even say thank you, Big C, I want to thank the NFL Network and also Fox Sports, because they're starting to think their audience is worldwide, Big C. So I think they listen to Charlton and Big C Sports too. So especially to you good old boys out in Latin America. So bienvenidos to you. Thank you very much. Also London, England, thank you for listening to Charlton and Big C Sports, as well as Berlin, Germany, and also the great country of Canada. I'm getting better at that national anthem, Big C, if I could get back on first verse. I'm almost there, Big C. And also you good old boys out in Australia, even China, because you make most of our uniforms, so thank you so much for tweeting at Charlton and Big C. Big C, now we know we're getting so close to the college football kickoff, and we talked about the rankings that actually came out yesterday, and I know we talked about the Olympics, how happy we were with the Olympics. There's also some story in the news about Strasburg, got that big contract, he's having some injuries. And also Conor McGregor, he needs to go to the doctor, Big C. But how you good old boys doing down south, Big C?
We're doing wonderful. Got a lot of humidity down here. You people call it humidity.
Oh, okay.
Humidity down here.
We'll take it.
Warm, dry skies today. But, just a beautiful day overall. Great day for hunting, fishing. The things that people do to enjoy life in the South.
Yeah.
Real people talk. Just like real talk, real people.
Well, it's funny because, you do the mixture of Hollywood and sports like nobody else. But I do got to tell you, I heard this morning, and I love, just like sports is competition, Big C, and you and I compete. We talk about the West Coast versus the Southeast. And, I'm out here in Pac-12 country, you're out there in SEC country. And then, of course, the NFL, they're all over the place.
Oh, you got 12 packs out there?
Yeah, we got 12 packs, baby.
Give me a couple of them. I'll put them on ice when they're right.
We might have to get him from Tom Maridovich because he's being caught. In fact, he needs to go to China to get some cheap clothing, Big C, because they found him without some clothing on, but hopefully he'll get some help for that. Former USC great quarterback, Tom Maridovich. But I also want to just say that on the NFL Network, they were talking about some actors in Hollywood and how great actors can blend in, with the sports business. But they spent about a whole 20 minutes, Big C, when they did it. We give about a good 2 or 3 minutes when we pay homage to our Hollywood people. But I just think that's so important because I think of a guy like Spike Lee. And Spike Lee has been around for so long and had movies over the years.
To do the right thing, okay?
Do the right thing. That's what Spike is telling everybody. Do the right thing. At least say you heard it first on Charlton and Big C Sports before Nate Burleson starts quoting Scarface, Big C. So just the thoughts on how did you actually come into this Hollywood and sports? Because you've been saying this for so long, most of the Hollywood people, they get the best tickets in the house, Big C. So how did that cross your mind to even come up with that, Big C?
Well, Charlton, being an athlete, you're actually an entertainer.
Yeah.
A lot of people really don't realize that you're an entertainer. And during the off season, used to work a lot. I belong to the Screen Actors Guild, so I got a lot of extras work and some semi-roles, in a lot of films and TV shows.
Yeah.
Where you're part of the backdrop. You had nothing else to do in off season, so you just joined this guild, paid your fees, got a chance to work periodically. So, in meeting a lot of great actors and actresses over the years, as a retiree, Charlton, it was a great thing because I was in broadcasting, so it was just natural to belong to the Actors Guild. You had to pay your fees anyway.
Yeah, well, that's good.
In meeting that and finding that a lot of these people were just real ordinary people. We see these images on the big screen and we think that they're larger than life. They really just want to be absorbed and blend in with society when they're out, Charlton. They don't want to be chased by a camera. They don't want to be asked for an autograph. They just want to sit down at a restaurant and eat. They want to go in a store and buy clothing or whatever they're in there for. They would love to just go in a normal grocery store, Charlton, do their own shopping. And so by bringing them to our program, trying to reflect what they really are in life, that they're people, and they want to be like everybody else. What we talked about, Charlton, that they get the front row at the sporting event because they don't want to be stuck up in the crowd. If they're sitting in the first 2 rows, Charlton, they have an opportunity to enjoy the event. But if they're sitting up in row 15, row 20, they're going to be mauled the whole time by spectators and fans, And that's not letting an individual enjoy a sporting event. So it costs them more to go to sporting events, Charlton, but they just want to be like you and I. Well, like you. I'm not
okay, well, I understand that, Big C. And speaking of being like Big C, this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go down and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. And of course, Big C, now that we talk about the Cadillac Escalade, I see more and more people talking about Cadillacs. And I will also pay homage to some of our brethren in the sports business because they were talking about this thing that you've been on so long. Is Kobe Bryant, I think, put up $100 million or started a $100 million investment fund. I don't think it's all his money, Big C. Maybe Phil Knight's kicking in some money, Big C, with Nike. But it's about athletes and their business mindset. But one of the commentators on, I think it was Fox Sports this morning, he was saying that a lot of athletes, when they come into money, you got to understand that 80% of the people, they don't make as much as the top 20%. So 20% make most of the money in the NFL. They don't have the sweet deal that baseball has, Big C. And so when you talk about Kobe Bryant as an NBA player, an Hall of Famer NBA player, can put $100 million into an investment firm, that's to create not just money for himself, but jobs, Big C. So I just want to give you credit. Since you've been talking about this, LeBron James, he has a show on MSNBC, something about investments in the Cleveland, Ohio area. Now you have Kobe Bryant putting money into the stock market and making it public, too. They don't keep it private, Big C. So I think you've hit a nerve with a lot of the athletes, Big C. What do you think has taken them so long to start doing what you've been espousing them to do for a long time, Big C?
Well, Charlton, one of the things is social maturity.
Yeah.
That you have to come along, and have. All these athletes get a copious amount of money up front. And so they don't always realize that it's going to come to an end, Charlton.
Yeah.
Your career can end in the next game, and a lot of athletes don't understand that. Kobe had 20 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
Great longevity. LeBron's been around, 13 years now?
Yeah.
A long time. A lot of people don't realize how long LeBron has been around. So his playing days are less than a decade in the NBA.
Yeah.
So it's now time really to put forth for the future. Yes, you make a lot of money now as a player. The NBA with their new revenue sharing and television contract.
Yeah.
I believe it was like $12 billion contract they just signed with all the networks.
My goodness.
So there's money that's going to be out there. All the teams are going to get about a 12 to 15% salary increase this next season.
Yeah.
So, there's money to go around. The young players are the one you have to worry about, Charlton, because they enjoy themselves. They're having a great time in life.
Yeah.
They're looking at that endless pocket, but when they come back to training camp, a lot of them are pulling lint out of their pocket because they're broke. So, you got to look at your future, and you have to admire Kobe, you have to admire LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
But, Charlton, there's dozens of other unsung NBA players that are making the same type of financial moves for their future, as well as NFL and in Major League Baseball.
Yes.
We've talked about it. We've brought it to the spotlight. And as you said earlier, want to give thanks to Fox Sports.
Yeah.
Want to give thanks to ESPN.
Yeah.
Want to give thanks to the NFL Network.
Yeah.
Because these networks, Charlton, all listen to our show.
Yeah.
They have a larger platform than what we have because they have the visual. But they listen to our show and they bring our comments on the air all the time. And I'm not saying that we're experts.
Right.
But we say a lot of things that these people have never said before. And I dare anybody who listens to our show to listen to them and say, hey, are these guys not copycats or what?
Yeah.
And I'd be damned if any of these guys will ever say that we took it from these guys. But they do, because they've been cowards over the years. But now all of a sudden, they want to get some cojones and talk about we're as good as Charlton and Big C.
Well, and I love competition, so anybody in the world of sports, I was just over at NBC TV today here in Sacramento, said hi to a good friend of mine, and she talks about the advertising business. It's a very competitive business, Big C. And so what I say to anyone who wants to get into business, you're going to have to fight for something. No one's going to just give you anything. So as you're out there trying to make your dreams come true, oftentimes, if you do a good job, people are going to copy you. So, Big C, there's something I want to bring up. You talked about the money business, and this is for all the young athletes who are coming into $50 million or sometimes as little as $5 million, which we know Joey Bosa from Ohio State doesn't think that's a lot of money, Big C. But they have to understand, they got to pay Uncle Sam. Now, I know a lot of you good old boys down south, you guys don't understand what taxes are. But, some people have money that's not accounted for, Big C.
You said Axes are when we cut down trees, Charlton.
Oh, so the problem.
Go split some firewood.
So semantics, huh? Okay. But when it comes down, you remind me when Bo Jackson had that commercial on TV, and with Bo Jackson and Emmitt Smith and Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, and someone said that Emmitt Smith was the best running back of all time, and that's when Bo Jackson broke the baseball bat over his knee, Big C. But it comes down to
the Heisman House, Charlton.
The Heisman House, okay, the Heisman House. But something that's so real, think about Kobe, what he's done. Think about LeBron James, what he's doing. And I think when ESPN launched this program, and you notice how we give them credit, they launched this program on fantasy football, which is it's almost like gambling. You can bet on whatever your favorite player would be, per se, Big C. But think about this. With what Kobe just did and what LeBron just did, I think it would behoove of the networks to follow what these guys are doing, because they're creating jobs, Big C. They're not telling guys to play video games for 4 hours a day or fantasy football for 4 hours a day. What LeBron's doing is he has these entrepreneurs who are investing in real projects, just like we're telling Phil Knight and other corporations to invest in Charlton and Big C Sports. That is what we've been doing, and wouldn't it make more sense, Big C, if they use that platform of these sports leaders to actually do something that's going to benefit society and create a tax base, not this underground world? Big C, your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, when you deal with winners, that's what a lot of people want to be involved with. And even investors, outside investors, people who are not athletes, Charlton. Mm-hmm. If someone has been a consistent winner on and off the court, those are the people we gravitate to in life.
Yeah.
You're not trying to take advantage of people when you think about it. And so these people that are coming along now and taking the money, because athletes make so much money, Charlton.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have the flexibility to invest in your neighborhoods, in the future. When you think about what athletes do, Charlton, and I want to compare this to a pharmaceutical company, okay?
Yeah.
Because I use their product, and I have to carry it around all the time. I have to buy it every year, and I have to carry it in my car. I have to keep it in my house.
Yeah.
It's called EpiPen. Many Americans know about 42, 45 million Americans have these allergies that you need to have these EpiPens around.
Yeah.
And over the last several years, they've increased the price of this EpiPen 400%.
Wow.
Now you tell me why in a life-saving medication that they're allowed, and I understand America's free enterprise,
money.
that you're allowed to raise a life-saving medication 400%. You have kids with nut allergies. Me, I'm allergic to stings.
Yeah.
And so there's many people that can lose their life because they can't afford it. And you think about the CEOs of the company, where their salaries go up 600%. We're not talking about helping society, Charlton. We're not talking about helping those who are needy. And these are people who need the EpiPen.
Yeah.
But you have guys who are price gouging, lining their pockets instead of having a social conscience for society. You think about it. 42 to 45 million Americans' lives are on the line because you have guys who are wanting to make more money and not have a social consciousness about helping out, Charlton, the less privileged.
Yeah.
And we're talking about people with a serious medical condition, Charlton.
Well, see, and I understand that too, and that's why it's one of the reasons that I love how some of the athletes, they just happen to be African American. If you notice that, because I want to bring this contrast. We talk about having an Ali consciousness, and we looked at a guy like LeBron James, who has his investment program on MSNBC. We acknowledge that. Also, the great Kobe Bryant, having an investment club on Wall Street. Where are the Tom Brady's? Where are the Ben Roethlisberger's? Where are some like the quarterbacks who've been given the most money, Big C? Where's Andrew's Luck? Where is he trying to give back to all people, to create jobs, not just inner city jobs, but to create employment for people? And I think they've turned the corner, because I hate the dumb jock sycophants mentality that a lot of people don't mind having. In fact, some people brag about being ignorant because they never talk about anything outside of who scored a touchdown or how many points you make in a basketball game. And I always want to say that Charlton and Big C Sports is a great platform, and that's why we have so many good followers. And speaking of followers, this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. What could a buck do for you, Big C? I'm telling you, that Mega Million is only about $69 million, so I feel your pain, Joey Bosa. But I think I've won that money, Big C. I think I've won that lotto, because my pocket keeps itching me again. Even though my doctor said take a bath, I took it, but every time I buy that ticket, I start itching. Big C, do you have an itch also, Big C, when you buy lotto tickets?
well, Charlton, with that dollar, I could probably buy a pack of gum.
Okay.
That's about all I can get with it. I don't know whether I can get rather that rack in the convenience store when I'm walking in. So, you look at what a buck can do for you, and the California lottery would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have had the opportunity and the luxury of winning those lotteries over the years, Charlton. They've been life-changing events. But, when we talk about life-changing events, how often do they help others out?
Yeah.
You have to look at that perspective also.
Yeah.
I mean, America is a country of opportunity, great wealth. When we look at athletes, and you're talking about these quarterbacks in the NFL, how many $100 million quarterbacks have these foundations set up where they can benefit kids? And when you think about these $100 million contracts, that they're not producing with, where they haven't made the playoffs or anything like that, but, they're potential great quarterback, and they're getting these $100 million contracts, and the quarterbacks who don't have these $100 million contracts, we see them play in the Super Bowl every year. Such a contrasting, mindset on things.
Well,
but you have to call amongst all. You just can't call amongst the African American athletes. I mean, you think about the amount of money that the golfers make, Charlton.
Yeah.
None of these golfers have a social conscience. We don't see it.
No.
They're not going to go into inner city. They're not going to go into rural areas and set up golf clinics. Yeah. Where these kids have an opportunity to learn the great game of golf. Go out, because golfers basically price these kids out of it, Charles.
Yes, I agree.
You cannot be an inner city kid and afford to play golf. It's expensive. I go out and play periodically, and you're always dropping a decent amount of money when you go to a golf club and play golf. Yeah, so that's true. How can you expect these kids who are living at the poverty level or on government assistance to be able to go out and play golf? Introducing other sports. Look at the Williams sisters, who grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Yeah, their dad created an opportunity for them to play tennis in one of the worst, basically, U.S. war-ridden neighborhoods it was at that time, because there was a war going on at that time between the Blood and the Crips. Yeah. But Richard Williams, you got to give him all the credit in the world for the success of Venus and Serena Williams that have become world champions on every level in golf. Yeah, I agree. Not golf, but in tennis. In tennis, the world of tennis. The kids of today in the inner city, Charlton, don't have that chance because it's so dangerous. Yeah. And you can't get corporate America going in and invest. They won't go set up driving ranges. They won't go set up batting cages for kids to practice baseball. Yeah. These are the things we need to ease the crime in inner city America, Charlton. Kids need an outlet. I know when I was young, there was always Pony League and, Little League baseball, punt passing kids. Yeah. Pop Warner came along after I had grown up. Yeah. But it's there now. So there's outlets for kids, but you have to create an opportunity for them to learn these games, Charlton. If you had a tennis center set up where inner city kids could come in, you provided the rackets, you provided the balls, they wouldn't leave the center. It's like we used to have recreation centers when I was a kid. All the time. And you could go into them, you could utilize the basketballs, you could utilize the baseball gloves, or whatever else that they had there, Charlton, the little shuffleboard games. Yeah. But you walked away and you've gone home and you've had a great experience. We're not providing that now for the sports youth of America. Well, see, and Big C, and I love what you're saying, because I want to just toot myself on the back. I want to toot our own horn, because sometimes the best sense of flattery is when someone's copycatting what you're doing. And because there was a time, I even heard ESPN say that they didn't want to have a social consciousness. They just wanted dumb people to read the scores off. And I think that's an insult to people who are, if you can read, you have something to share. I want to bring this up. What I see LeBron James doing and what I see Kobe Bryant doing, we've been talking to Phil Knight about doing the same thing and calling on him, even if it's a Warren Buffett. Well, Charlton and Big C Sports, we're not just telling you scores, we're actually offering people a chance to go to work. And I want you to pay attention to this. This segment is sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. We're also endorsed by the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association. I'm looking to hire 1,000 licensed insurance brokers to go to work offering life insurance, and we work with all of the unions in the United States under the AFL-CIO. So when you follow Charlton and Big C Sports, not only are we on the hottest sports network in the United States with iHeartRadio, and I think anyone who doesn't have a sports program, you're missing the boat, because over 150 million people in the United States alone, they watch the Super Bowl, Big C, almost every year. And with iHeartRadio, I think they have the prescience to follow what we're doing, because Fox Sports is doing it, as well as ESPN is doing it, Big C. We're offering people a chance to be more than just a sycophant athlete.
And as we get into a little bit of the sports, a little bit of the sad news, and I know we love to be jocular and joke around a lot, but Todd Marinovich, former USC great quarterback, his father called him the robo quarterback, had this crazy diet for him, Big C, and trying to do things a little bit unorthodox, but he's had some issues with substance abuse, and I hope that anyone who's dealing with substance abuse, go get some help. Obviously, if you need help, the help is out there for you. But this is something I want people to pay attention to, Big C. The average athlete, if you're an NFL football player, you're not going to play more than 3 or 4 years. There's a life after the game. So here's a man who had everything put on his lap. I think he went to Capitan Valley High School out in California, went to the great USC, played great football there. I think he played under Larry, the gentleman came from Arizona, Larry Smith. But now he's having some issues with substance abuse, with a lot of athletes deal with that, Big C. But he's someone who's been pushed under the carpet. What do you want to say to guys who are going through the same thing that he's gone through, Big C, but they're just not as well known, Big C?
Well, Charlton, this is one of the things we talked about that are remnants of the 70s and 80s and even the 90s in the NFL, was a free drug giveaway from the teams.
Yeah.
You know, every team introduced players to opiates while they were playing. If you had a pain, you were introduced to some type of opiate, Charlton, as a player, you know, either through pill form or injection. And so it was freely given to players. You know, we've talked about CTE, and everybody thinks it's just from the brain compressions. No, it's not. It's also from the opiates being there also as far as what it does to the brain, Charlton.
Yeah.
The CTE, I mean, the concussions are just a byproduct of it, but it's a cumulative effect of both of these things together. And when you think about Todd Marinovich, we also look at Doc Gooden, who potentially is going through the same problem.
Yeah.
Baseball pitcher with the Mets and the Yankees.
Yeah.
Doc has been battling this in and out for years. Todd Marinovich, former #1 draft pick of the Raiders after junior year at USC, you know, and did not have the success as a quarterback that they thought he would have. They tossed him in too soon. He was back at Mark Wilson. Wilson goes down. They throw in Marinovich, and they eat him up. A lot like Jeff Goff that you have right now at the Rams.
Yeah.
What's going to potentially happen to him if the Rams make him the starter?
Yeah.
But, you know, Todd Marinovich has battled a lot, Charlton. Even during his playing days, he has been arrested for marijuana, and now, you know, unfortunately, even other stronger substances.
Yeah.
But the Players Association, this is one of the things that they've talked about over the years, the veterans receiving medical help, having the medical help available to them.
They need it,
you know, the NFL players and the public didn't understand this. 5 years after your retirement, you lost all medical benefits, but you had to be a fully vested player.
Yeah.
So every year that you played up to 5 years, in 5 years you would become vested. It's now 3 years that they changed it to about a decade ago.
Yeah.
But it took you 5 years in the NFL. But after you retired, you only had medical coverage for 5 years. We've seen the longevity of life in NFL players and just in society. So, you know, your aches and pains really start to kick in that 7 to 10 year range, Charlton.
Yeah.
So as you really needed, you no longer had medical coverage. When you needed surgery, you needed joint and hip replacement, Charlton. You know, you had other problems, spinal problems that needed to be addressed. You needed MRIs. You no longer had the medical coverage. The NFL was making millions and millions of dollars, but they didn't feel that the veterans deserved any of that, even though they helped create that system. The NFL had turned its back on veterans for many years. Now, this past year, they passed a medical plan for the veterans, Charlton.
Yeah.
I give kudos to them for that. But how many veteran players have we lost over the years?
A lot.
Through suicide, through poor health problems that caused an early death. The NFL is culpable, Charlton, for the loss of life for former veteran NFL players.
Yeah.
But, you know, you thank them for giving the insurance now, but you also have to blame them for the loss of so many great players over time, Charlton.
And Big C, I think that's very well said, because right now we're all happy about football. To me, it makes everything great again, and we know it's starting up pretty soon. But that's part of what I said about United Labor, because we can offer them guaranteed insurance, you know, without medical questions, Big C, and a lot of players need that. And for example, when you talk about, and I want to go back to this thing with LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, and again, Charlton and Big C Sports, we've been offering work to people. Instead of getting on one of these, I don't know what the job sites are, but Career Finder and all that stuff, just tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports. You can also follow us on the iHeartRadio every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because we also want to put people to work. May not have the money that Phil Knight has, but I do have the consciousness. And again, Phil, we're asking you for that $1 million sponsorship. And Big C, I just want to bring this up too, because when I look at around the NFL, Roger Goodell, and he comes under a lot of flack. He makes $40 million a year. Some say $44 million. Okay, that's a lot of money. So there's nothing that the team owners will do to usurp his power. He's kind of the cop that looks out for all the owners. But you know, as a former athlete, if the teams had a heart or a conscience to take care of some of their former players, because there are a lot of guys like Todd Moretti, and they pump stuff into you to help you not feel the pain, Big C, so you can make the next game or make the next play. They pump that into you. And we've seen that chronicled in North Dallas 40, and also with the CTE, the movie that Will Smith did on concussions. So I hope that the commissioner, who's boasting about having a $27 billion profit by the next 10 years, I hope that they have a lot of that money allocated to help with medical purposes for the former athletes, Big C. Do you ever see Goodell having that consciousness, or do you see they're just going to keep patting their pockets, Big C?
Well, Charles, and I don't see that open consciousness, but, you know, when you think about appropriating some of these funds to the veteran players, I think players that are existing now will receive more than past players, Charlton.
Yeah.
If you think about the fight that went on a couple of years ago about the CTE lawsuit that they had.
Yeah.
And the NFL was willing to give the players, I believe it was between $7 and $14 million.
Yeah.
You know, that's pocket change.
That's a joke.
You know, it was laughter. And they couldn't wait to have that agreement.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was a one-time deal. It wasn't yearly. It was just a one-time deal.
A one-time deal, yeah.
But the players who needed emergency medical attention right away, they needed it to have it.
Yeah.
So they looked at the settlement, okay, I need relief now. I can't worry about later. I need it now.
Yeah.
So they wanted to accept it. I'm glad a Minneapolis judge stepped in and said, no, this is not a settlement that we can give these gentlemen.
Yeah.
And I take that back. It was $750 million.
Yeah. That's
$750 million.
Yeah.
But this judge said that's not enough money to cover all the health expenses for this vast amount of elderly men. So the NFL needs to really have a subconscious, Charlton, about what created it. And I know Roger Goodell often talks about protecting the shield.
Yeah.
Okay, what builds the shield? It's like if you take its foundation away, anything will list to the side.
Yeah.
So don't take away the foundation and the history of the NFL. If you're not going to take care of those old-time veterans, Charlton, why don't you just wipe out the Hall of Fame?
Well, see,
because they're the ones who built the Hall of Fame, allowed the Hall of Fame to be what it is. They may not all be in the NFL Hall of Fame, Charlton, but they played against those greats that are and allowed them to have great careers to make it to the NFL Hall of Fame. So by disrespecting those veterans that you turn your back on, you're disrespecting the NFL Hall of Fame, Charlton.
Well, that's very true, Big C. And even when you go into coaches and players that they're going to play, I just want to say that this segment is sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. I'm an insurance broker with One Life America, and we're the leaders in the United States when it comes to offering final expense. I'm also trying to hire 1,000 licensed insurance brokers who want to offer a final expense to help protect American families. You can tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. And also, just like anything else that happens for a reason, there's always a few people that are going to lead a cause, Big C, and I want to be one to lead that cause. And when it comes to advertising, that creates jobs for people, and that's why I say if you're going to advertise, you should advertise on the iHeartRadio network. It's the best platform in the country. Over 250 million people every week in the platform, and that's 1 billion people per month in the iHeartRadio platform. That's bigger than Fox, bigger than ESPN, bigger than anybody that you can think of when it comes to the world of media. And someone that I'm personally working with is a gentleman by the name of David Gibbons, who's an account executive over at iHeartRadio and iHeartMedia in Sacramento, California. And so, Big C, you've been in advertising, you've been in sponsor. The reason I'm saying broadcast on our show, and I think it's been proven, we keep talking about giving people work. LeBron James doing the same things now. He's a billionaire, Big C. Also, Kobe Bryant doing his investment product. I'm still waiting for my white brethren quarterbacks to step up and create some type of investment fund. I know you may do it privately, but do it publicly, and I'll tell you why. If we can create the next entrepreneurs through young people, instead of playing Madden 216 or 217 or whatever other game that doesn't really challenge you intellectually, Let's create the next wave of stockbrokers. Let's create the next wave of insurance brokers. Let's create the next wave of radio reporters, sports reporters, because when you have a sales team, it puts people to work. That's why you should advertise on iHeartRadio. And if you're a team or if you're a station, if you don't have a sports department, you're missing the boat. The United States of America and the world, we just saw with the Olympics, they're crazy about sports. Not having a sports department or a sports show is like going to a car dealership but there's no cars. It doesn't make any sense. Everybody in America follows sports because boys and girls sports is a $1 billion industry. And iHeartRadio and Charlton and Big C Sports, we're tapping into that industry, Big C. So in your thoughts, as someone who's an expert in media, what's the benefit of advertising with iHeartRadio and following Charlton and Big C Sports, Big C?
Charlton, the benefit of advertising with iHeartRadio is the return on your investment. You understand and you can quantify your listening audience, Charlton. You know your demos. You know the female to male ratio. You know the age ratio. And the key is, Charlton, is that especially during our program, you have your drive time listeners. You have your prime time, drive time listeners. The 5 p.m. Pacific time, the 8 p.m. Eastern time, Charlton. This is when traffic is moving. People are in their mechanical vehicles. They're listening to their electronics. And now that so much of America is listening to syndicated radio, Charlton, you can go to specific programming that you want to hear. And that's what you're getting. So when you point your commercials to that right demo that you're looking for, you're going to get the return on investment. Then you think about the demo of Charlton and Big C Sports. Charlton was sitting with 35 to 37% female, working female, Charlton, educated female. Those people are return on investments. When you look at the male population that we have, 25 to 64, Charlton, we're right there in that prime demo of home buyers, car buyers, people that are employed, Charlton, because they're in transit. This is the thing you look at, people who are part of a captive audience. So as an investor, and if you're seeking these people, it's just like, and I'll go to an advertising guru, McDonald's. McDonald's never cared about an adult when they were advertising 20 years ago, Charlton. They never did. They targeted the kids because they knew those kids would eventually become adults. And if those kids in the back seat nagged their parents enough, you would go buy that Happy Meal.
That's true,
so
Big C.
That's what you do. You look at your target audience. Whether your target audience is 5 years old or 25 or 35 years old, that's where you go. And when you look at your sports audience, Charlton, you're talking anywhere from 18 to 70.
It's off the chart.
That's where we are.
Well, you think about this too. Digital is almost 10% of all radio listening. 186 billion hours a year. When you think about that, if you're an advertiser, a corporate sponsor, and you're looking to get the most for your money, you got to spend your money on a sports show. I think the Super Bowl, we talk about Roger Goodell, but the Super Bowl has left a clue for every sports executive out there, for every TV and radio executive. The Super Bowl has left a clue. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Support your sports program, especially one that's socially conscious like ours. You can credit LeBron James for following the advice of Charlton and Big C Sports. You can credit Carmelo Anthony, who followed the advice of Charlton and Big C Sports. And now Kobe Bryant. When you have guys who are billionaires and multi-millionaires, if you don't have a sports program, you just got to start rereading why you got into the business in the first place. And the last thing I'll say, Big C, is this segment is sponsored by BeneathThisWingsFoundation.org and CYNN Entertainment. Also want to thank Becca, the Business Cupid. As we close out, Big C, I just want to get your thoughts on one more thing that I think is so important as we get into the world of business and finance. We started the show talking about money, and everyone thinks that athletes are wealthy, but it's not what you make, Big C. As you guys know, it's what you keep. And as a former athlete, what would you say to these guys getting ready to sign their contract? We know Joey Bosa out of Ohio State with the Chargers. He's still holding out, Big C, because he wants LeBron James kind of money, but he's in the wrong league for that kind of money, Big C. What would you say to guys about how to keep their money before they spend it all, Big C, again?
Well, one of the things we looked at, Charlton, when I was playing, we always looked at deferring 10% of our contract every year. You know, we didn't make the money then that they make now. You know, being out of the game for 30 years makes a difference. But when you look at a player now, it's easy to defer 20% of your contract. And we're not talking about to the next season. We're talking about 10, 20, 30 years down the road, this deferment, where this money will grow. It's going into a trust fund, into an annuity. And so you will always have something. If you can expect to get 10 years out of your career now, great. But at that 10 years, you're already getting a new income, Charlton.
Yeah.
20 years down the road, you're getting a different income. 30 years down the road, when it's time for total retirement, Charlton, you're in a comfort zone.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things that all players should look at. Take 20% of whatever you make, put it into an annuity, starting 10, 20, and 30-year increments, Charlton. You will make more from those annuities than what you would have made out of your contract as a player, Charlton. That's where players can secure their future. They can secure their investment. They can ensure their family's future, Charlton.
Their family future. And
this is what you have to think down the road, not down the street.
Well, that's
and so many players think down the street.
They think down the street.
Club is down there. So you have to think about down the future down the road.
Yes.
That's what you got to look at, Charlton.
Well, that's very true. And also, speaking of down the road, you can follow us every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, the Charlton and Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio app. Just click on iHeartRadio and put in Charlton and Big C Sports, and you can find us there every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, whether you're in Latin America, whether you're in London, England, or Brazil, or Canada. I want to tell you, especially in the United States of America, we love what we do, Big C. I love it very much. And I want to tell everyone, please be safe out there and follow Charlton and Big C Sports. And as we always say, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.